This is 25 September 2020. This is the weight of the badge. I'm carrying 50 today. Kind of hanging out around that because my knee is messed up once again. And it is a gem just carrying this versus some of the folks that are carrying the majority of the weight or all of the weight. So, wonderful weather out here. It's raining. It is somewhat cold, very dreary, kind of fitting for this walk, I guess. This is basically the mood that you are in a lot of the times when you are dealing with PTSD or depression. This is what it feels like. Dark and dreary. So one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is this class that I'm teaching two. One of them is in person, the other one's online, but I'm not a huge fan of online teaching. I enjoyed it when I was getting my master's degree, but I'm not really a fan of it when I'm teaching. It's you don't get to have the interaction with the students. You don't get to see their faces while you're talking. You can't really get a good feeling for the crowd to see if you're holding on to their attention or if they're interested or not interested, whatever it is. So once again, last semester I had great students, and this semester they're even better. So, and I've got more students, but I have a very diverse group of students. Not all of them are going into law enforcement. I've got a couple attorneys and other areas, and so this semester has definitely been tougher. I think last semester was almost everybody was going into law enforcement last semester, so it was a very pro law enforcement group. And not that this group isn't, it's just a little tougher. It's hard to explain, but it's just a little tougher. I think I had to win many of them over throughout the semester, and I have been much more open this semester than I was last semester with them about stuff, just because of what's going on in the world, in our communities, and trying to help them understand when they're going into this field. And I'm teaching this class that they're taking is criminal justice administration and the organizations, and so I'm trying to teach them leadership aspects of the job. I've been fortunate. I've had some really good guest speakers come in that practice servant leadership, that are all about their people. And I think that's made an impact on the students. Last night, I had a guest speaker for the first half, and then I did the last half, and so talking about conflict and things like that in the field, and just talking about what we're seeing on the news now, and how the narrative is that officers are out to cause harm, they're liars, all this nonsense. So I told them some of my own stories about things that I had been through, about incidents that I was involved in, about in the 23 years I've been doing this, the 2 times that I've had to pull my weapon and almost use it. And I had a good guest speaker last night, the chief of police in there talking, and I think they got from him how much he cares about his department and how much he cares about his staff and the community, and he sees the big picture, very much into the health and wellness aspect of things. He's an all-around good guy. I got to work with him. When I first met him was on 9/11, to work side by side with him and then watch him rise up through the ranks and now become the chief, which is awesome. He's a really good guy. But I had a lot of younger folks in this class, and you can tell when you talk about certain topics, you're able to get the feel of where they stand on them. And I'm hopeful last night that in talking about some of the incidents that I've been in and about this narrative that is going across the media and how false it is, and that they're putting this narrative out that officers are out just shooting people left and right. And when I told them about the 2 incidents I was involved in where I had to draw my weapon and how frightening it was, and when you're standing there and you are very close to pulling the trigger on a weapon because of a situation and possibly injuring or ending someone's life, that there's nothing cool about it. There's nothing romantic about it. There's nothing, you see these people, they get out of the academy and you're in there and you're riled up and you're like, yes, this is great, we want to get out and get involved in action. And I told them I was like that when I first got out, but as I got older, and now that I'm in my last few years of doing this, I guess I've mellowed out. Some of my views have changed, and there's nothing exciting about that. There's nothing even remotely good about that feeling. It's one of the worst feelings I've ever had. And I'm thankful that both situations ended very positively, because they could have gone very bad. And I've got to meet, going out and speaking, I've got to meet several officers that have been involved in shootings, and they have not had the fortunate outcome that I did. And they have to live with that every day. I have never met an officer in my 23 years that has been involved in a shooting that has anything good to say about it. I've never met an officer in my 23 years that's been involved in a shooting that hasn't haunted them. And yet this narrative continues. And while I may not be able to change that narrative, these young people will. And you can go into a classroom and you can teach straight from a book and do lectures straight from a book, but you're doing a huge injustice to your students and to the future of this country, the future of this field, when you don't teach them about the reality of whatever career path it is that they're going down. People see officers and they see us as robots, and we're just out mechanically doing a job, and they don't see the human side to this. And I am hopeful that each week, the time that I get to spend with them, that I show them that. From the people that I bring in to speak, to my own experiences, and to the assignments that I give them to do, that they see that there's a human side to this, and that while this is the greatest job in the world, this job, if you're not cognizant in the way that you approach your career, if you are not looking out for yourself, then this career can take its toll on you. This career, like me with 9/11, can bring you to the edge of the abyss where you're sitting there with your note written out. I don't want any of these kids to get to that point. And I call them kids. Some of them are close to my age, but my students, because I have some that are juniors and sophomores that are far more mature than most of us at this age. But I'm hopeful that in the few hours I get to spend with them every week, that I get to show them the human side of this job, and that what television tells you about this career is not true, whether it's a TV show or whether it's the news. It's faults on both ends. Occasionally the drama shows will get some of the aspects of it right, but it's not very often. And when they're coming in and you talk to them, and I always have all my classes do like an intro thing so I can ask them, how did you get here? Why are you interested in this career? What are your goals? Where do you want to go? Because just like the folks that work for me, I want to know them as people. I don't want to know them as a student. I want to know each of them individually. I want to know about their families, where they're from. When they're going through stuff, I want to be supportive of them. And I think I do a decent job. There's times where I don't think I'm doing that great of a job, and that I'm not getting enough information to them, but I think I do a decent job. And I think that when they leave my classroom, that I've hopefully given them more than that book has to offer. I hope that I've given them more of an honest opinion of the career, more of an honest look at what they're going into, and maybe even change their mind in some cases about whether or not they want to go into it. And that's not my goal, but sometimes you get glorified views of what the career is, no matter what it is. You get a glorified view of what it is from television and media and stories and stuff, and I think it is only fair to give them at least my honest point of view, and my point of view doesn't match up to anybody else's, but it gives them some idea of the reality of it. And I bring in speakers from all aspects of criminal justice, from legal to corrections to patrol to supervisory people to medical to mental health folks. So I want them to see all the aspects that go into this, because not one of us can do this job alone. It's a big, huge group effort, and I don't think people see that a lot of the times. And I want them to see all that goes into it, and I want to bring in folks that are in their field that when I've met them, I see potential for them. I see that they're stars, that they're rising stars in their field, and I want to give them that opportunity to get themselves out there and, possibly even get them teaching in a classroom one day. Last night when class was over with, I felt really good, because as I was speaking and as I was looking out at the students, I saw some of the students that were very stoic before, just very straight-faced, were emotional. And I hope that's because they realize that everything that's being put out there is not always fact. And I think the other thing that helps me get through to them is that I will listen to their opinions on stuff, whereas most people don't, and they argue and yell and scream, and I don't care what your view is, I'll listen to it. Because I can learn from you. And that's what I've asked them to do in their class, is to keep an open mind on every aspect of everything they hear. When they see something on television, don't take it on face value. Research, look into things, and then make your opinion on your own. Don't ever take somebody else's opinion and use it as your own. But last night when I'm speaking and I was looking out there, I felt like I was getting through, especially to some of the students that I didn't know that I was going to be able to get through to by the end of the semester, and that bothered me. But I think I might have gotten through last night, and that gave me an immense sense of pride. It made me feel really good. Not because it felt like I did anything special or that I made some great speech, because they listened, because they opened their mind and they listened to what I had to say. And there were nods, and there were tears. A few of them spoke. But there's something about when you're standing in front of a group of people speaking. Because when you get up there, whether it's to a group of students or whether it is in front of an auditorium full of people, an arena full of people, you get up there and you start scanning the crowd and you pick out people that you know that you're going to get through to very quickly, and then other ones that it's like, this is never going to happen in a million years. And I think my first 2 weeks of class, I had a few folks in there more than a few folks that's what I was thinking, was that I was never going to get through. But at least I feel like I did to some of them, and that was really important to me. Because I want each and every one of my students to be successful whichever path they decide to go down, whichever path they're drawn to go down. And I don't know that you can be successful until you learn to be able to listen to people, and you learn to be able to communicate with others regardless of their opinion. In fact, I think when you surround yourself with people that have differing opinions, you grow. And you grow much further and faster than you do when you surround yourself with people that have the same opinion as you, because you're never challenged. So as you're watching television and you're reading the paper and you're seeing a lot of this negative stuff out there, keep faith that as long as you keep pushing, and as long as you keep doing what you do, and as long as you don't lower yourself to the standards of the small minority that seems to get most of the airtime, that are yelling and screaming and chanting and throwing things and attacking people, as long as you don't lower yourself to that level, and as long as you sit and listen and accept that not everybody's going to have the same opinion as you, but that they're still good people. Because if we didn't have differences, this world would absolutely 100% suck. Problem is, we have differences and people refuse to listen and learn from one another. And I gotta tell you, when you have people that you think you're never gonna get through to, and you see just a little crack in the armor, and you see just a little bit of possible understanding, there's not many other things that feel that good. When I first started teaching the beginning of this year, I was scared to death when I walked in that classroom. And by the end of that semester, it was one of the greatest things I had ever done, because I saw a group of students that I knew were going to go out in the world and were going to make a difference. And this semester, I see two groups of students that are going to go out in the world and make a difference because they're open to learning. They listen. They take issues that we're struggling to fix, and they come up with some just amazing takes on things. And while they're all not realistically able to be done, at least not right now, they're already ahead of the game. Because the majority of us, especially those of us like me that have been here doing this for so many years, you get very stuck in your ways and very stubborn, and it's hard to get a fresh look at things. And when these folks come into the workforce, whether it's in the legal field or whether it's in criminal justice or social work or anything like that, these folks are going to do some damn good work, and they're going to make a difference in the lives of other people. And I can only hope that at the end of the day, whenever my journey is at its end, that one or two of these folks will be there. And that one or two of these folks will say that I taught them. And that because of how I taught them and how open I was with them and how I took the time to get to know them, and that regardless of what their opinions were, I treated them the same as everybody else, and I listened to them. Hopefully one or two of them will be there to say that, to say that they are better people because I got to be around them for a few hours, a couple weeks out of the year. To me, that would make me very successful in my life and in my journey. If you're working tonight, take care of yourself, watch your back, watch your brothers and sisters back. This world has become a dangerous, dangerous place right now for us. For those of you that are out on the line tonight, where there's rioting going on, stay safe. Get home to your families. And this is for everybody. Tell your loved ones how much you care for them. Because no matter how much we want to believe it, tomorrow is not promised. And it never will be. To my brothers and sisters that are at home and abroad, protecting this great, amazing country of ours, and provide us with the freedoms for me to stand here and do this. For my brothers and sisters that are carrying the weight, being able to stand here and do this. God bless you and God bless your families for the sacrifice they make for being there for the long haul while you're deployed wherever you may be in their home holding down the fort. Get home to them. And when you get home to them, don't ever let them go. And I want to one last shout out to Ashley Walton, and the Tactical Living podcast. I got to do her show Tuesday morning, and if you haven't got a chance to see it, check it out. It's Tactical Living Podcast. It's on iTunes, and she is also, her and her husband Clint have a site. It's Fire, Police, and Families. And once I get the link from them, I will put it up on my page. But take the time to check her site out. She is an amazing young woman, and her husband is out serving. He's out patrolling the streets and serving, and she's doing an amazing job of health and wellness and self-care for law enforcement and fire and family members, and doing coaching and everything else. Just an amazing young woman. So if you get the chance, check out the Tactical Living Podcast. Support her. Give Clint a shout out. Thank him for what he does for everybody that is carrying the weight. And I know I've been short the last few days. But for each and every one of you that is picking up the weight, thank you for what you are doing. You don't know how much it means to those of us that have struggled, to those of us that are struggling, and to the loved ones that are on this site or may see these videos of those that have lost their battle to PTSD and depression. From 1 pound to 100 and whatever pounds. Thank you for what you do. It may not seem like a lot, but it is awesome. And with that, I will leave you on this dark and dreary night. Be safe, and I will talk to you tomorrow.